Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this STAA webinar, which is being produced in association with our affiliate member Avantio and is titled The Expectations of the Modern Traveller. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt and I help run the STAA on a day-to-day basis. The STAA is a trade association for short-term rental operators and suppliers. We cover the UK and our purpose is to represent the sector, both to UK policymakers and also to bring people together to help learn from one another. And that's hopefully what we'll be doing today. So we've invited our affiliate member Avantio to speak to you all about the expectations of the modern traveller and how you can cater your property management business to meet those expectations. If you have any questions, we will be doing a Q&A at the end after Chris has given his initial presentation. You can submit the questions in the Q&A section or the chat box below, and I will do my best to read out all of the questions that we get, depending on how many there are. And without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to Chris, who's going to take you through the rest of this presentation. Chris.
Hi there. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join us here on this webinar. Much appreciated. As said, I represent the company called Avantio, and glad to be doing this webinar in association with STAA, who we've been a member of for quite some time now. But it's good for us to at least speak with the market in the UK to show, I suppose, to help aid the market with our technology and help property management companies do well with their businesses in the UK. So it's great for me to be here to take this opportunity to do that. So what we're going to look at today are kind of what our data is showing, and what we can see is what are the expectations of a modern traveller. And we know there's plenty of different types of travellers out there, and you need to cater for as many as possible. We'll look today at the kind of the modern traveller and what that means. So basically, just the agenda today. Again, won't be massively long, but we're going to look at a brief intro. Who is this modern traveller? How we can improve the guest experience, and obviously then for looking at some tools to capitalize on these expectations of the modern traveller, and in some cases surpass them as well. And then, as I said, at the end of the webinar, we'll have a short question and answers section as well. So obviously, I've been joined by many property managers on the call today. So I would imagine a lot of you may already be using some of these tools, or may already be having experience of using, capitalizing on these guests. So it'll be interesting to hear your feedback at the end of the call to see how you're managing things and how things are working for you guys. So just a brief introduction. As I said, my name is Christopher Dillon. I'm actually originally from Ireland. I'm living here in Spain, working with Avantio, and I'm basically the head of business development for the UK market. You can contact me by email or via my LinkedIn profile as well. So I've been working with Avantio now for about three and a half years now. And it's a privilege speaking to many professional managers all across Europe, all across UK, Ireland, on a daily basis, understanding how their businesses work, and obviously offering them technology to help improve their businesses as well. So just a quick brief for anybody who doesn't know who Avantio are. We're a platform. Probably through our platform, we're probably managing originally we have around 110 people, 120 people now working for Avantio. About 24 different nationalities that are behind the product. We have about, probably on average, this could vary time to time, but on average of 1.5 million managed bookings in our system per year. We actually operate in 6 languages, natively in 6 languages. So we were able to provide our clients care in multiple languages. We're probably in around 40 countries now. We had a good week last week, so I think we added a few more countries last week. So that's pretty good. And then obviously Avantio do a full onboarding, and we probably onboard do about 1,000 onboarding sessions a year, something like that. Okay. Again, just very briefly, what Avantio would be is an all-in-one platform. We have a very robust PMS, a channel manager, and we also build vacation rental holiday rental websites as well for our clients. And just just let you know that our channel manager is our own channel manager as well. Very few companies have both PMS and channel manager, but we are premier partners of Booking.com, preferred partners of Airbnb, and Verbo as well. So give you kind of an idea of the standing there. So we basically started in 2001 from humble beginnings, but obviously we've been in the industry quite a long time. This is our 20th year. Same ownership, just growing steadily over the years, and now we continue to be one of the more experienced companies in this industry, which is obviously full of excellent competitors and excellent other companies out there. But we've been in it for 20 years, and we continue to provide excellent services for our clients and so forth. Okay, so that's briefly about Avantio. So we'll look at basically it's kind of the trends of what we noticed. General understanding of kind of the modern traveler and kind of what's happening in the industry, getting more popular than hotels, or at least challenging hotels. So because of that, the modern traveler is more demanding, but more profitable. So we'll always look for a good service similar to what they would receive in hotels, but will in return invest more in their holidays. They look for transparency, flexible cancellation. So a lot of that's due to kind of what happened in the previous 2 years. Being able to cancel or change things. More now they look for actual more open spaces and comfort as well. So which is a good thing as well. So moving into having a look at these sections that we'll have a look at is, so they book earlier, they want clear prices and flexibility. They would tend to have a higher budget compared with other years, and basically would expect the quality services similar to hotels as well. But the other thing that modern travelers do is they expect to be able to do this all on their handheld device, on their mobile devices. So that's basically where they're on our mobile phones also. Okay.
Chris, sorry, just to cut across you for 1 second. Yeah. We're just occasionally losing you very briefly, so you may want to just switch your video off.
Okay, yeah.
Cutting out a little bit every now and again.
Perfect. Okay, the video is switched off now, so stay close. No problem. Okay, so looking quickly at the so the modern traveler expects the quality and services of the best hotel, or very similar to the hotel anyway. So what the modern traveler will expect is to have kind of a central platform, or this is how we feel property managers can help to improve the guest experience by obviously looking at services that you can add into the guest experience to make it more worthwhile for them. So basically, we all know that when we travel, one thing that we don't like, even though in the UK we don't mind an orderly queue, but we don't really like waiting. We actually have to do a lot of waiting, whether it be at the airport queuing to check in, or if we're at a ferry terminal or train station, wherever we are waiting to get on a holiday. We know there's a lot of queuing involved. Waiting for transfers, waiting for taxis, all that type of thing. So what we really want to aim to do is reduce that amount of queuing time, waiting around time as much as possible for the guests, so they can just get to start and enjoying their holiday. It's not completely avoidable in all situations, but we aim to reduce it as much as possible. So kind of where that leaves us is kind of where the technology would come into that. So if you can basically look at the check-in process for your guests, and that be from when they land in your town or however they're arriving to your location, is how can we make that process as seamless and as straightforward as possible. So as I said, guests like to have everything in the one central location. So if you look at your technologies, and if it's mobile responsive, where can you have all that information for your guests in one central area? So the idea is that having a good online check-in system that allows the collection of tourist data is kind of now essential. We're coming from experience across here, Spain, Portugal, Italy, where all that information is absolutely necessary to send to the local authorities here in these countries. Not 100% necessary in the UK yet, But obviously getting this information ahead of time will help you be more efficient with the guest, and it also allows the guest they expect to be able to do it because they check in on lots of different areas now. So the two areas you can have a look at in this online check-in process is provide a central location for the guests to be able to, pass their information of any additional guests, take selfies, scan IDs, anything that the property manager needs them to do, provide that option for them to be able to do it. Because what that avoids then is if the guests are landing at your doorstep or in the office, that they're queuing out the door, they're trying to give you all the documents hand in hand. Whereas if you're able to do this in a secure environment ahead of the trip, that will obviously save a lot of time for the guests and obviously a lot of time for yourselves as well. Okay. The other part of this side of things is if you have smart locks, some of you may be using them, some of you may not be using them, but it could be a consideration for the future. Because with smart locks, obviously it's an investment, obviously, for the company, and you have to make up your considerations of whether it will work for you or not. But what it also allows to do is allows the guests to be completely autonomous. They'll be able to be able to check into your apartment very easily, check out easily. You'll be able to monitor how they're getting on during their stay. So you may consider looking at providing that technology as well to allow a very seamless check-in process. So maybe guests are arriving 12:30 at night, planes are delayed, trips are delayed, but they can check in at a certain time at night. In that online check-in process, the things that you would probably want the guest and what they would expect to be able to do is to be able to add their documents, complete the check-in online. They would also, obviously, if different modern travelers, if you're traveling in groups of, maybe 5 different adults or 6 different adults or a few different families. So what you want to do is avoid that situation where one person is sitting doing all the check-ins for the whole family or for the whole group of friends. Is being able to actually share that check-in and sending it. So the guest might expect to share it with their friend and they can perform their own check-in. You can include in there payment details, so a summary of how they paid. You can have an access to a central area where they can actually communicate with you directly, the property manager. And this is also an area where the guest would expect to be able to, inform you. This is where you can surpass that. The guest can inform you what time they're arriving. But again, this is all one central area location that the guest has access to. That will facilitate their whole interaction with you, the property manager, and the facility of them making their trip. Okay. Similarly, with key lock companies, there's a myriad of key companies out there, but choosing to work with one, obviously set as a consideration, but obviously it can help alleviate any waiting around time for the guests when they arrive. So that is something you could look at as well. So the modern traveler may have a higher budget compared to other years. Obviously, this is changing on a regular basis now, based on the global climate at the moment. Inflation, all these things can affect this. So we'll see how this progresses in the upcoming months with holidays. However, what you can do is, again, improving this guest experience by offering extra services. Now, again, some of you may be already doing this, some of you may not, some of you might be thinking about doing this, but certainly is one way to really give the guest an overall good experience of the booking with you, and also to really help them enjoy their holiday, really, because that's the end of the day. Because most of the time, guests are typically very happy to have booked their accommodation. That's kind of stage one, so they've got their upcoming trip. And as they get closer and closer to the check-in date, or closer and closer to their holiday, then they start obviously maybe thinking about what we're going to do when we're on our holidays. Sorry, what can we do? Is there? Sorry, what can you? Right, so planning to do on our trip. How will we get the accommodation? How will we check into the accommodation? Is there anything we can do in the area? Is there airport transfers? How do we get from the airport to there? How do we, is there any city tours we can do? Is there any late checkouts, early check-ins, any of these little extra services? Guests will start to consider that. So if you as the property manager have that one central area where you're able to inform the guests that, yes, you are staying with us, but you also have these other things that you could do when you are here with us. again, so the guests will also obviously want to, because they're going on holidays, want to be able to book things and receive confirmations right away. So you can give something like, depending on the technology that you're using, because a lot of technology is out there, but you could have one central location that we would call the guest area, or a tourist intranet, or whatever you want to call it. The guests will be able to have this private central location branded with you, the company, you, the property management company, where they can consult information about their upcoming trip, where they can actually check in. They can actually, through this one area, they can check in. They can chat with you directly, so they can communicate directly with you, the property manager. And here is where you, the property manager, can offer some additional services and even consult. They can even look at any previous trips that they've had with you, because once the guest is booked with you once, they will be have an account with you. They'll be able to see any previous or upcoming trips here. And you see, basically, in one easy location, the guest can see from this little video over here, you can see that they can book the extra services. Okay, so you got bed linen, air conditioning, heated pool, jacuzzi, pets, or whatever things that are extra to their booking, they can actually ask for it here. And also, what you can do is obviously provide the security of them being able to add a credit card secure payment system here as well. See, just on the far right here, you have they can add a credit card to actually process the payments for these extra services once they are confirmed. So again, giving the guests confidence, one central location to do their online check-ins, to look at the various different services that you have, can really help you get the most out of the guest, and for the guest to get the most out of the trip. Because naturally, they will be looking at additional services when they do get to the location anyway. But if obviously you're there to provide consultation and provide advice and obviously provide those services, then why not take the extra services with you yourself? Okay. The next part as well, just from the property management side of things, from your operation side of things, that you look at your software, make sure that if guests are asking for additional services, that they are actually for extra services, you then have the mechanism or the tools behind the scenes to add service providers to your software, and that they will be notified anytime there's a new service to. So, for example, a guest asked for the welcome basket when they first arrive. Your property management company, or maybe you have a separate company that would perform that service. So make sure that inside your software you'll be able to notify that service provider to actually perform that task and have everything run smoothly. So how to improve the guest experience? By booking securely as well. So guests they definitely want to have more confidence in their bookings. They want to have times of uncertainty like that we've experienced over the last couple of years is essential. Obviously there's been raging debates about guests cancelling a bit too late, and then obviously looking at certain channels who've cost the property manager a lot of money because bookings were refunded without any kind of consideration. However, looking to the future, there's more companies now that are out there that you may want to look into. So the tourists might want to book with certainty of being able to cancel at any time. So there's a couple of things here. Offering flexible cancellation is obviously is one way to increase the bookings, or flexible cancellation up to a certain point. For example, I had to book something last night, and it was I booked one that was free cancellation up until the day before. But I guess want to have that flexibility if something happens. So how you can protect yourself as well as the property manager, and protect the guest as well, is by looking into companies like your assistance or insurance companies, where basically automatically adding cancellation and damage insurance for your customers will provide security for guests, while at the same time giving peace of mind to the owner. So they can talk to companies like this. They can add in an insurance fee to their booking, so that it covers them for any last minute problems. Basically, it covers both of you to make sure that you're not losing out there in these situations again. Okay, so how to improve the guest experience by offering high standard services. So the 2022 tourist is expecting the best hotel services similar out there. So basically what you want to do is make sure that is that the guests are aware of that. So services that may have been indispensable a few years ago are now mandatory. So there's a new standard. So quality cleaning, sheet changes, tiles, gel, or Wi-Fi. Well, maybe not Wi-Fi, but that's always been there. What are some of the services that guests already take for granted now? So they'll find in accommodation. So anything you have there, plus above that, will obviously attract that attention. Offering slippers or offering anything you can shout about, really, that will give the guest more of a hotel kind of feel. Again, depending on how many nights stay, depending on all these things. So make sure your software is able to provide that type of extra services that they can use. Pets is obviously another one as well. A lot of people are doing a lot of staycations, especially in the UK this year as well. So, is it possible to have that pet to be able to allow to go to these properties? Check it over with your clients. Is it possible? But obviously, people want to take their pets with them as well. Next one. So how to capitalize on this on the modern traveler. So this is where we look a little bit at the tools at your disposal. So the modern tourist likes to book well in advance. So what you can do is have your system or your software that will allow you to be able to do that. So, and obviously the guest wants clear prices and flexibility, and they want a good deal. So people like to buy on those criteria. So you see here, basically, if you're make sure your software or the software that you're using can allow you to set up discounts and supplement offers. You see here, just on this example, you can set up a discount for somebody booking a long time in advance, like 4 months, 5 months in advance. So you can set up that discount to apply anything over a 5-night stay. You would apply a discount for them, a 10% discount for an early booking, for example. Okay, you can combine that then obviously with with a flexible cancellation as well to allow the guest to book. You could also look at just inside this. So if you've got your own direct booking website, or if you've got your own, basically what the guest is looking for is flexibility and assurance. You see here, just from the visual there, we have like a type of flexible calendar, very similar to maybe if you're booking flights. I want to go somewhere in the month of September, or the month of between August and the end of September, I want to go on my holiday. So you can pick your 7-night stay at any time, and basically the guest will be given back a number of different options that they can actually pick. But be able to kind of show your guests to be able to show the guests in these different areas, show them, that you take cleaning and disinfection very seriously. So that's on the listing. You have free cancellation, obviously, that you can show them the cancellation policies there. So you're always reassuring the guest that yes, this place is clean to a high standard. It's free cancellation. You can choose many different types of many different options there. Okay. Another thing you have is being able to obviously have something that's called like a revenue calendar, or your calendar in your PMS that shows, okay, your pricing, and you'd be able to obviously forecast your pricing as you would do normally. But in the event that there are kind of hiccups or cancellations or anything, that you can react quickly to this by using your calendar to change the pricing, change the occupation rules based on the availability, of course. But this would be able to react quickly to, I suppose, look at any gaps in your calendar, to resell those dates, to look for any kind of last minute travelers, or so having this kind of view of your calendar will obviously help you react quickly to change prices, occupation rules, and on your availability. Now, there's also, we're also looking at obviously channels that you might be working on. Look at your technology to see if you can maximize your return on investment by direct bookings, for example. So what you can do with some channel managers is obviously look at the stay rules, and you can put specific occupation rules on specific channels. So for example, booking.com is a good bringer of bookings. But we might want to have a 14-day minimum night stay for booking.com in the summer season, for example. So that leaves my website open or leaves me open to take direct bookings from elsewhere that maybe are more economical for me. You can do something like that to capitalize on your tourists coming from you in the summer months. You could also look at setting discounts. You can actually specifically look at setting discounts and supplements per channel as well. So for example, again, you may favor some channels over others, or you may offer different deals to different people on different channels. So what this allows you to do is be able to set discounts and supplements per sales channel. You can choose the seasonality, and obviously you can choose then which accommodations. So in your whole portfolio, you can choose, okay, there's only 4 accommodations that this supplement applies to. Okay, so you can really use that to your advantage. Again, maybe favoring your website, maybe favoring different platforms over other ones. Okay. Now, obviously, that's the manual side of things, and there's a lot of things you can automate. But you could look at as well integrating with any kind of revenue management companies like Price Labs, like Beyond Pricing. There's a few other options out there as well that will help you with the dynamic pricing and help you get a bigger return on your investment as well. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. Hope I haven't bored you too much, but I guess, Matthew, we'll leave it open if there's any questions. Be happy to answer or try my best to answer.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chris, for that presentation. There are a few questions already, and I'll just remind anyone who wants to ask a question either to submit your question in the chat or the Q&A function. I'll be checking both. But why don't we start with the ones that have already come in. So the first one is, what's the approximate required investment to implement automated check-in processes and smart locks?
Well, that's a good question. So depending on the platforms that you're using, so smart locks, you probably need to speak to them directly, but usually they charge you a price per property, plus then the initial investment in the software itself. I don't really have those figures to hand for the smart locks, but I'm sure to contact Operdo or these ones to give you that. For online check-in for these types of platforms, I can give you an average of kind of what it would be with Avantio to have the online check-in and these types of this type of platform. There's a lot of companies out there that do it, but they would charge a price per property. Maybe I'd say on average 30 to 50 per property. Maybe it could be less, but with us, it's if you're using the Avantio platform and you wanted to use the online check-in and the guest area and these things like that, it's like a one-time fee. It's like a one-time offer, $750, and then the rest of it comes into your monthly as well. But if you want more specific information on that, I'd be happy to send you more information on that.
Okay. Okay, here's a question from Raf here. Which third-party tool would you recommend for upselling add-on services? Our current tech stack is Guesty, TouchStay, Minute, Stayify.
For upselling extras, I mean, there's a couple of good ones out there. We partner with a company called TouchStay. Might want to have a chat with them to see how they. Sorry, was that the one you said you work with or no? Sorry.
Yeah, TouchStay was mentioned in the question.
Okay. Apart from them, I wouldn't have much information on any of the other ones now.
Okay. Well, hopefully, Raf, that's
or Avantio. Avantio is maybe.
Feel free to come back on that, Raf, if you'd like.
No problem. Yeah.
In the meantime, one question here is: can you provide an estimate cost for establishing a service provider's intranet?
Yeah, as I said, it's a tricky one because there's a lot of companies out there who do it. You have that specific like Breezeway, like Doing, like all those things. You probably have to speak to them directly. But I think most of them would charge a price per property. So I'd contact Breezeway directly maybe and just ask them how much they would charge for that intranet, because they obviously provide more services than that. Often the service provider's internet, like for example with Avantio, the service provider's internet is part of the PMS, so we can't sell it separately, if you know what I mean. But there's other companies who are dedicated to doing that specifically out there. So you're probably looking at again 20 to 30 pounds per property, but you want to speak to them directly. Again, I can't say exactly how much they charge.
Great, thanks very much. Here's another question from Raf then. He says, TouchStay will allow us to create awareness to add-on services, but lack lacks a sales funnel and booking engine for those extra services? Any advice?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I don't know touch stays so well, so I'm not. I wouldn't be able to answer that. No, sorry.
No problem. One question I had actually listening to your presentation, Christopher, was you spoke about offering lots of flexibility, and that's what the modern guest expects. Is there a kind of trade-off there between offering that flexibility and then ensuring kind of income and cash flow, or would you advise, maximum flexibility?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously varies from property manager to property manager. I think offering reasonable cancellation conditions is good. I mean, maybe not up to last day or cancel any time or anything like that. That's obviously a bit suicidal. But it's kind of if you can offer flexible cancellations up until X days before check-in. As I said, you can also look at I don't know, maybe looking at those insurance companies to combat against any kind of last minute cancellations that you might have. It might be worth the extra money to do that. Yeah, you need to kind of protect yourself. So it is a toss-up, but it's really down to kind of it's really down to, I suppose, different types of properties that you have as well. You might have more stricter cancellations on larger properties, just things that might be more difficult to sell. So it is right that there is a little bit of a trade-off. There might be a little bit more instability. So I would say go for the middle ground where you're having flexible cancellation, but not complete. They can't cancel at any time before the end of the booking. Maybe have a certain cancellation percentage X days before the check-in, and another one 30 days before the check-in. So you can have a bit more flexibility on, there will be a penalization of some sort here.
Okay. Thanks. And just curious. Obviously, in 2020 and 2021, we had the staycation boom in the UK, and partially fueled by the fact that it was, either impossible in certain circumstances, or at the very least difficult and unappealing to travel abroad for many people. Do you have any visibility on whether that trend is here to stay, and whether the modern traveller also likes a staycation on top of foreign travel, or do you think that the opening of international travel is going to have an impact on the modern traveller and their preferences?
Yeah, it certainly will. Obviously, I don't have any data on that at the moment, but certainly, I'd say certainly being able to travel again more freely is obviously opening up the doors for people to travel again, which is unfortunate for the staycation. But I think a lot of people, just going from personal experience, from not being able to travel, have enjoyed the staycations, actually realize what's on their own doorstep. Again, when we look at themes like, we don't like to wait, we don't like to be around too many people, don't like going to airports. I don't know if you saw yesterday in Dublin Airport, there was a malfunction and there was like queues and queues of people all over the place in Dublin Airport. It's just crazy. So maybe people are thinking twice about traveling abroad again. Maybe you're just looking at good destinations at home. Other things that can affect it is having pets, being able to bring your pets with you, things like that. So I'd say the staycation is still there. The jury is still out to see how much. Probably be able to know by the end of the summer kind of how it's all panned out data wise, with how many people have decided to travel abroad, how many people have started to stay at home. What have you noticed? What have the people on the call, what have they noticed so far with their bookings? Are they receiving a lot more international travels? Are they receiving more UK travelers? Would they be able to show us any or inform us of anything?
Yeah, I mean, feel free attendees to contribute your answers to that question via the chat. I think from the association's point of view, generally our members are still doing pretty well, and from what I've heard and what I've seen in terms of industry data, we're looking at this year being the year where the industry gets most of the way towards recovering to the 2019 pre-pandemic figures, although it might take a little bit longer to get all the way. I think the fact that the UK is relatively attractive and open market from a COVID perspective is helping to bring back those foreign tourists. Of course, we have a few set piece events in the UK this year as well, which will be helping the Commonwealth Games, and that's most obviously the Platinum Jubilee that's happening later this week. I do wonder, and I don't know, if something you've seen reflected, Christopher, whether the last 2 years have created a kind of slightly inflated expectation of the kind of rates people can hope for within the staycation market, and whether some of that was fueled by maybe a lack of alternatives in terms of foreign travel, and therefore people have perhaps gotten used to rates that aren't sustainable in the long term due to the increased competition from the reopening of foreign travel. I'd be interested to know if that's something anyone else has experienced, or that's something that you've witnessed, Christopher, in your line of work.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and as I said, it might be like the question you said: are people's expectations too high, or of kind of what happened in the COVID years? Obviously, in those COVID years, people stayed at home. Obviously, that still showed that was a good thing, is that people still wanted to go on holiday no matter what, and you have to kind of adjust your strategies to combat that. But it's probably a little bit too early to know how badly it'll be affected. I think certainly you're absolutely right. The opening now of all the borders again, people can travel abroad again. But you never know. I mean, I think people, given from my own personal experience, I really enjoyed as much as I wanted to travel, but actually quite enjoyed there not being able to travel and actually staying and enjoying parts of Spain that I'd never been to before. Or parts of the UK that people have been stuck, or not been stuck, but they've actually enjoyed holidays in the UK. So, and then there's also, I don't know how much this affects. It'd be good to hear your thoughts on this as well. The people on the calls, like obviously, with the way the global economy at the moment, there's high inflation everywhere. It's costing more to go anywhere. So we'll see how that might have an effect on it. I don't know what your thoughts on that would be, Matthew. About things costing a bit more, and people just maybe a foreign trip might cost a lot more than what it previously did. I'm not sure what it is. That would be your feedback, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very possible that there will be a shrinking in demand because people's incomes are squeezed a bit by the cost of living crisis. I also think that there's no short-term rentals don't have any inherent advantage over other types of accommodation when it comes to these kind of things. They're not in control of how much heating their guests use or anything like that. So there can be additional costs for owners as well. I'm thinking especially in larger properties with things like energy prices in the UK. Yeah. I'd also dare to speculate on your earlier point that it's quite easy to get behind staycationing when you're doing it in Spain, and maybe less so in the UK. But,
certain parts, maybe, yeah. No. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point, yeah.
Good. Well, we don't have any more questions, Christopher. I don't know if there's any final remarks you'd like to leave our guest with today.
No, just appreciate you taking the time. I know there's webinar after webinar after webinar. Hopefully it was useful in some areas for you. If anyone who has asked a question would like more information, please feel free to contact me via my email address or via LinkedIn. But just take this opportunity to say thanks again for your attendance, and look forward to meeting you all at some stage in the future.
Great. Thanks very much, Christopher, for the presentation. Thanks everyone for attending, and we will see you all on the next one.
Okay. Thanks a million, Matthew.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great summer. Bye-bye.